Good morning. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Learning Ideas Conference for day 2 on Thursday. So good to see everybody in person again and online once again. People in person had to make it through some rain this morning, but things are clearing up. So we're ready for another conference day. So welcome back once again. And all right. I'm really pleased to have Antonella Poce here as our opening keynote speaker for the day. She is a full professor in experimental pedagogy at the University of Modena and Reggio Emilia in Rome. She's director of Intellect, the Center for Research into Museum Education, Wellbeing, and Teaching Technology. You can see some of the other things. She's authored a number of publications. She's head of many postgraduate courses. She is involved in many, many things in the industry, and good friend of mine and somebody who has been such an influential part of the industry for so long, and particularly on the academic side and bridging into other parts as well, with great concerns about improving the use of cultural heritage artifacts and working with museums and so many things that she's going to talk about. So what I'd rather do rather than talk is let Antonella take over. So I'm going to turn it over to Antonella. So let's have a really nice welcome for Antonella Poce. Okay.
Here we are. First of all, as every one of us said over these 2 days of conference, we are all so thrilled and happy, really happy to be here in person. But the most important thing is also the possibility to share this wonderful experience after the pandemic with you in person, but also with many friends located in different parts of the world. So that's really emotional. So I thank David for this opportunity. So some words to start this contribution. I would like to share with you some notes about what we do, our Center for Research, our engagements, our work. As David told you, I teach experimental pedagogy, actually museum education and technology for education at the University of Modena and Reggio Emilia. But I'm also research associate to the National Center of Research, the Institute for Cognitive Sciences and Technologies. So, of course, technology and the use of technology, a critical use of technology is actually one of my main interests. The Center for Research, based at the University of Modena and Reggio Emilia, as you can see here, aims at promoting multi- and interdisciplinary research and studies on digital and heritage education, particularly referred to the promotion of soft skills. So critical thinking is one of our main interests in a perspective of furthering the social role of museum, and we'll be talking about the social role of museum, of heritage. Actually, heritage represents our identity. We are all part of that, and that's why we should take care of that, and we should make use of that to help social inclusion and participation in society, and so the development of soft skills. We have been working on different projects at national level, at international level. There's a European project going on at the moment called Inclusive Memory, where we try to develop this idea of having technology as a support to be more inclusive using the museum. And I'll tell you how. The other mission of our center is that of being international. And so the scientific board of the center is made of many different colleagues based in different areas, both geographically and scientifically. I'm not going to mention them, but you can have a look at this slide. Some are the colleagues that contribute to our work every day. Mara Valente is here with me, but there's Maria Rosaria Re, Carlo De Medio, and all the others that are connected, and I know they are there, so I thank them for being with us. But there are many colleagues also from the States, like Julie Carmian, David, first of all, of course, Julie Carmian from the National Gallery in Washington, Douglas Hagley from the Metropolitan Museum that is based in this city. I am not going to mention all of them, but you can have a look at that. So what is our main concern, and what is actually the focus for this contribution? The use of museum institutions as places to fight forms of social exclusion developed in the 90s, when numerous practices and activities were initiated, especially in Great Britain and in the Anglophone world, to promote social activities which would help limit cultural, political, and economic marginalization and help those formerly marginalized take possession of their cultural and social heritage. So this is something that started in the 90s, actually. Before that, the concept of inclusion in museums and places devoted to the promotion, use, and communication of artistic and cultural heritage was fostered through initiatives aimed at increasing the number of visitors, basically. Little attention was paid to the redefinition of cultural places as agents of social change with regards to integration, to promotion of intercultural dialogue, and the involvement of categories socially excluded from national and international cultural production. It is relevant to note that initial opposition was showed by the same representatives of cultural institutions who did not consider the mission of social inclusion by museums traditionally devoted to the preservation and communication of artistic and cultural heritage as something that would be useful. To them, it was inconsistent or not easily achievable because they feared that the use of inclusive practices could lead to a decrease in the quality standards of the museum itself, or make their preservation work more difficult or costly. But this, of course, was a condition that had to be overcome, absolutely. According to every one of us, I think, and I think this is a position that can be shared with you, this is not surprising, since it is undeniable that the museum in itself was never perceived as an inclusive structure. Over the centuries, museums have systematically excluded certain social and ethnic groups from using the museum and exploring the cultural and artistic heritage on offer. Communication, research, and heritage preservation activities were generally designed for those who already use the museum. Sort of elite. If social inclusion is achieved through access to services, labor market, and social participation, the limited involvement of disadvantaged groups such as ethnic minorities, people with physical or mental disabilities in the construction of a nation's museum culture, or their exclusion from cultural interpretation processes has supported forms of marginalization. So this is really an issue. The emphasis placed by many political and cultural institutions on the role of inclusion and social aggregation played by museums has in recent years allowed a rethinking by the institutions themselves towards promoting artistic and cultural heritage. The museum, in fact, can and must support actions that have a social impact. These actions would extend to all social groups the possibility of contributing to the construction of a shared memory, and as a consequence, the development of the persons as human beings, being members of the community in which they are living. Participation is our main concern. So the processes of inclusion in the museum also represent the opportunity to build a system in which persons can fully enhance their personal characteristics, overcoming the most heated forms of social injustice. Inclusive education in museum context can play a fundamental role with this regard. So that's our main point. And according to the most authoritative professional literature, art and heritage are extremely effective in defining educational opportunities that help the individual and the community to explore the concept of personal and group identity. Moreover, a sense of identity is closely linked to the promotion of active citizenship, defined as the ability of the individual to take part in the social, political, economic, and cultural life of the context in which they operate. Heritage is therefore not only an end in itself, but a fundamental element in the creation of a sense of social belonging, and consequently of mutual respect. The development of transversal skills, and this is really one of our main objectives in the research we carry out, through specific educational activities and cultural integration, can also contribute to the promotion of democracy and participation policies, as well as the welfare of the society itself. We all face every day these kind of problems. In Italy, the ICOM Italy, the International Council of Museums Committee based in Italy, in 2009 wrote a list of recommendations on the educational function of museum and cultural heritage to promote knowledge, skills, and behaviors for conscious use, exploration, and active citizenship. And in this document, education to promote social inclusion and cultural integration is defined as a necessary activity by museum and institutions responsible for recurring and permanent training of an active and democratic idea of citizenship for all people. So interaction with different and diversified kind of audiences, the involvement of different communities operating in our society, and the creation of relationship with the educational institutions on the territory where they are based are considered essential actions for the development of a conscious knowledge of cultural heritage. The interpretation of collections, this is a very important point. The interpretation of collections and communication about those collections must be carried out with the social function of the museum in mind, involving professionals, young people, universities, and diverse social groups to generate and build new functions of art and construct further meanings from the heritage on offer. It is crucial that the publics are not considered mere consumers, but actors who participate fully in the process of cultural production, decision makers and main actors in the creation and dissemination of a new discourse and museum practice. Every museum, every cultural place as a narrative tells a story, but it's our own story that we need to recognize in that offer. So that's why this interaction, this communication must be supported. Effective interaction with current events, the complexity and dynamism that characterize contemporary society are essential conditions for the development of the territory where they are based, and allow us to deeply rethink the new challenges of informal educational actions in museums. But going to the issue of digital skills and cultural heritage, where do we find this relation? We all experienced the COVID-19 health problem. This pandemic highlighted some long-standing problems, I think, all over the world, especially connected to the disposal and use of digital skills that need to be developed in order to take an active part in society. At the same time, the challenges generated by the health emergency call for educational institutions to redesign and rethink learning processes and learning programs by leveraging digital technologies. So digital skills is one of the 8 skills required to be managed by European citizens. Of course, I'm giving you a European perspective, but I think is common all over the world. At the end of any compulsory schooling, in a perspective of permanent learning. The acquisition of digital skills does not come only from the ability to use digital skills. Every one of us, our telephones is part of our body, So it's not only the ability to use digital tools. Digital technologies evolve and change quickly. Therefore, mastering digital skills means mainly being able to approach the use of new digital tools in a flexible way, continuously. The risk of enlarging this marginalization due to digital deficit that is growing and growing is highly probable. And, the pandemic reinforced this problem. Some predictions on student learning achievement in the COVID-19 era underline that social and digital marginalization has increased cultural inequality. And moreover, displaced people with low levels of digital literacy risk wider forms of political and social marginalization if they are unable to reintegrate into innovative professional and cultural contexts. So the lack of a shared cultural basis is another risk factor which improves the level of educational emergency we are living in these years. And in particular from the advent of the pandemic. For years, the literature in this field has emphasized the need to create educational systems based on solid and shared cultural canons in order to promote lifelong education characterized by equal opportunities for educational success. As underlined by the Council of Europe, enhancing transfers competencies with democratic cultural contexts improves pupils and people's well-being. But what do we mean by well-being? That's an important point, which includes, well-being means being active, being responsible, being connected, being resilient, being appreciated, and aware of what is going on around you. Moreover, the Council of Europe considers well-being as the ability to participate in an active community and culture, investing in people-centered approach to heritage can be actually the solution, because that benefits all levels of society, brings social cohesion and economic growth. And that's the point we're going to develop in the next minutes. Reducing the gap between the rich and the poor. That, I think, is our duty as educators, and that's why I chose to do this job. When people engage with, learn from, value and promote the cultural heritage, they can contribute to both social and economic development. Because as a dear friend of mine says, when you're very passionate about something, when you develop social growth, the money will come afterwards. So that's what we think. So, as I was saying, when people engage with, learn from, value, and promote their cultural heritage, they can contribute to both social and economic development. So what did we do? We worked on, and we have been working actually, on a new model, on the possibility to rethink the social value of museum. Through a program, a plan that we have been working on within a specific area in Italy, the Lazio region, the technological heritage district based in Lazio region. Lazio region is the region around Rome, so it covers quite a large territory in Italy, but it's based around Rome and other cities. There we went and we started this process having a dialogue, starting a process of interaction with where companies based in the area, stakeholders, universities, of course, cultural institutions could talk and have an exchange on this idea of rethinking the social value of museum. We want to develop this new model at local, of course, national and international level. And what are we going to discuss, to work on? The series of issues. Of course, what is strategic planning? What is social and economic impact? What is the role of culture in the climate crisis? Brand and identity, development and vocational training, tourism, education and community, civic well-being and urban development, financial and environmental sustainability, governance and operating models, social development strategies, animation of public space. So many different big themes, but that need to be discussed and analyzed. So what were the inspiration from which we took and we started our action? Of course, as I was mentioning, UK was, in a way, a sort of reference because they have been working on these issues for a longer time, but also in this country there are many examples, good practice examples. Anyway, programs like the Royal Society for the Encouragement of Arts, Manufactures and Commerce, the National Heritage Lottery Fund in the UK, and programs in the city of Pittsburgh and Dallas in the US have been working in this direction, enhancing transferable skills, especially 4C skills and digital skills for a variety of different types of categories of peoples, particularly those belonging to disadvantaged groups, such as migrants, people with physical and mental disabilities, and the elderly, of course. In addition, such programs also encourage the creation of new social business models that can generate inclusive growth. And that's what we are trying to pursue. So another very important, interesting point of reference is the Global Cultural District Network. And I'm quoting with this slide, what is their mission? The Global Cultural District Network is, of course, a network of cultural districts where certain design and certain objectives are pursued in a very shared way. So as you can see from what they say, this slide is taken from a presentation by Adrian Ellis, who is the director, the head of the Global Cultural Districts Network. Cultural districts matter and make a difference because of their multi-dimensional values. I mean, any cultural districts can be everywhere. They also rise naturally. You know, there are many different. In Italy, we have plenty of cultural districts where the culture of the local place, the heritage, both the material and the immaterial heritage is there and contribute to the definition of that specific cultural district. But it's important to have a view, to have a design related to what the cultural district could bring to the community and in what way it can be helpful. That's why those districts like Brooklyn or other districts like the Abu Dhabi one, there are many, are examples of what they are doing with this global cultural district network. You see, in these flowers, there are different petals, but the artistic value, the educational value, the social and community values, the urban and environmental values, the economic value are all participating in the same, with the same aim, the same objectives. You see, there are different impacts related to this kind of system. Cultural impact for sure, but also a social impact and an economic impact. You see, they are all linked. The three dimensions are easily linked because of course with cultural impact you have creative excellence, you have cultural vitality, you have diversity, equity and inclusion, as I was telling you, but this implies also a social impact, so better health, improved well-being as we were meaning it, quality of life, social mobility and so on and so forth, but this goes with the economic impact. So employment, capital investment, exports, tourism, international competitiveness. So sometimes we don't think that the whole work can have a true and effective impact for society. So, besides that, which is the road to internationalization that we thought could be helpful for Lazio region as one of the actions to take to support this kind of change, because what we were looking for is change. If you think that in Italy we have the largest heritage in the world, I think, but we have also the lowest rates of employment for those who qualify as art historians or archaeologists. So that's something wrong. So we need to change something. And the change we are looking for is going through this roadmap. So start with the needs analysis and definition of case studies, drafting the report, of course, on needs analysis, identify international organizations to join as a result of the needs analysis results, coordinate and develop activities aimed at defining relevant working groups, design of joint actions, of course, start roundtables to identify indicators for a new model of, for the district cultural assets social enhancement, identify new sites of the regional territory where to carry out pilot activities for the definition of a new social value model. Of course, evaluation of results, metrics, and what we learned yesterday on the need to identify key performance indicators and use the and use those data collected in a proper and effective way is fundamental, and organization of international conferences in order to exchange views, to interact, to have a dialogue with other point of views. So we started, of course, with the needs analysis, and we developed a questionnaire that we are going to hand out in a minute to you and to those who are connected online through a link that you will find on the chat. And we really would like to interact with you. That's why we are going to hand you the QR code through which you will access our questionnaire, and I'll leave you, 10 minutes to fill in our questionnaire so that you will be part of this change action that we are taking all together. So please, at home or wherever you are, get this link on the chat and fill in the questionnaire. And then I'll tell you about the findings. So what did we do, and what I will be telling you about in this last part of my presentation. Of course, we had a first round of this poll, of this survey, with a group of people. I will tell you more about them. And as you have seen, filling in this questionnaire, the three macro themes that were investigated were related to design of social business models for inclusive growth of local realities, sustainable, equitable, and distributed development, community and social capital. What did we find out with that first group of respondents, group made of 50 respondents? As you can see here, some social and personal information. They all have a master's degree, 14 respondents hold a postgraduate postmaster's course degree, and 5 have a PhD. And the most represented areas of study are the scientific study of antiquity, literary, and artistic sciences, which means basically archaeologists or art historians, so people that anyway are in the field of heritage experiences and communication, followed by, again, historians, philosophers, educators, and so on and so forth. What did we knew about them? The most represented professions include student and teacher, followed by museum educators, public administration employees, museum and heritage sites responsible for security and surveillance, because most of our overqualified art historians or archaeologists, many of them work because, as I told you, unemployment rates are so high in that area, work in the maintenance or surveillance or security services of museums. So the first area of investigation was related to the idea of using cultural resources to plan social and economic enhancement and development of new heritage models. And they said that the most important area to be supported is artistic and cultural heritage in order to support that development. The artistic and cultural heritage choice seem also to be correlated with the age of the respondent. So the higher, the older actually is the respondent, and the higher is the score awarded to this resource. And this is a point for reflection, because we need to know more what younger people in the field think. Another aspect that we found out with this first group of respondents was related about the fact that among the major public institutions to be involved, the respondents identified in particular universities, or which other entities is important to involve. They answered saying university first, schools, agencies and research institutions, care, recreational and cultural services, but the choice that we thought it was important to make between local health service agencies and hospital companies were not the most chosen, but show a positive correlation with the choice of social security funding. So there's a point for development there. Another aspect of the survey was related to the analysis of the impact level the cultural sector can bring in terms of sustainability. This is another point that is not given for granted. It's important to reflect on that. And the UN Agenda 2030 goals are defined as sustainability indicators. So the obtained results show that respondents define goal 4, that is ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all, as the one which can be most promoted by the cultural sector, followed by goal 5, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Then, according to respondents, the cultural and artistic heritage impact is low in terms of ending hunger, achieving food security, improving nutrition, and promotion of sustainable agriculture, and that is related to Goal 2 of the Agenda 2030, and also in terms of ensuring availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all, Goal 6 of the Agenda 2030. Again, this is a point for reflection because, it means that there's a lack of information related to the link that is possible between cultural heritage and the possible and actually realizable solutions related to these major problems. So again, we have a work to do as educators within this area. Within a given local and urban context, the value of heritage and management are defined as the most economically impacting actions, followed by urban renewal and the improvement of territorial reputation, by heritage protection and by activation of touristic flows. And so growth and development. The least impacting action in the territorial e-marketing, of course, is in the lowest position. However, in general, all identified actions have a very high score. So that is what comes out from this survey, but of course we need to investigate more because they are all mostly chosen options. Among the most important soft skills to be developed in professional training, we have creative thinking skills, finding innovative solutions to problems, followed by interpersonal skills. So again, building trust, finding common ground, having emotional empathy, and ultimately building good relationships with people at work and in the network, and critical skills. Again, there's a reflection and there's an identification of the relation between heritage experiences and this kind of skills development. Community and social digital skills defined as most useful in training professionals include evaluation of data, information, and digital content, followed by navigate, search, and filter data, information, and digital content, develop digital content, and identify digital skills gaps. So these are all skills that are included in the DigiCamp 2.1 model, and the first two skills are both part of the information and data literacy area. So again, you see this kind of work and relation to heritage is clearly felt by the group of investigation. You already had the possibility to contribute to the research, so it would be very important to see, enlarging the group of the respondents, what happened with the results. To conclude, I don't know if we can have a look at the results. Maybe we can, in order to give a feedback to you on what came out of this survey today with a different group of respondents, but just briefly, just to show them some graphics. Let's see if we have the data in real time. Okay.
Scroll the page and downstairs there are.
No, can see them? No.
Piano perché ho visto.
Prendile tu. Okay. So there's agreement there. There's okay, gender. Okay. A different kind, of course, the audience here is varied. There are people, experts in mathematics, in physical sciences. Actually, the most represented area are biological sciences, if I'm not wrong, mathematics, also medical sciences, and also physical sciences. So, you know, a good difference with our group. No, most of you are not in the field of cultural heritage, and that's good to know which is your point of view. Okay, maybe we can have a look at the digital skills. Okay. Okay. Of course, this is done in real time. So, but again, here actually not again, but here it's interesting to see that you underline the relation to the hand of poverty and difficulties in living. Okay.
Economic impacts.
Yeah.
The skills.
The skills are there. So creative thinking, okay, 70%, followed by, I think, communication skills and leadership and change. So thank you very much. It was really helpful to us, and you see how the perspective changed from the other group that was more into that was more into the field of heritage. But to conclude, is it showing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. going to the conclusions. So, an inclusive way of working that engages individuals and communities in their heritage can lead to better social welfare, taking into consideration also the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Heritage does become a source of sustainability. That's what is our point, our starting point, a way to celebrate the past in today's evolving world. That's our motto taken from the British Council. And also promoting awareness of the power of heritage for the development of local communities is an essential condition for the implementation of economic growth programs. Of course, there's more to do, there's more to come. If you are interested, I am at disposal for any questions, but also to give you further updates related to what we have been doing, both in Lazio region, but in Europe with our Inclusive Museum project that involves different countries in Europe, Spain, Greece, Italy, of course, and Portugal. So thank you so much for your attention, for your contribution, for your being part of this community. Thank you again.